Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Also, the CarrikerChronicles.com. It's where all your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just science. But if you're as excited as I am that Nebraska is 2-0 with a win over a major conference opponent for the first time since 2007, smash that like button. Now, they started off 2-0 in 2016, but they hadn't beaten another major conference team. All right, hit that like button. Also, help us keep this channel free, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button and also ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out here on the Carriker Chronicles and some of the fun interviews that I have planned going forward in the future. And I'm a man of my word. Last Sunday night, 1 week ago from the time we dropped this show, I said if we beat Colorado, I will drink Kool-Aid/Rhule-Aid right here on the show. And you might notice something's a little bit different behind me, but I'll do that later on. So in order to put the Kool-Aid there, I guess I just gave away what's behind me. We had to take something off the shelf. And I don't know if you folks knew what this was behind me. It's the bad call brick. I hadn't had to use it yet this year. And thank goodness it was still a Nebraska win. But my Lord, those Big 12 refs, good grief. I didn't know refs could be homers for a team in their own conference. Colorado's barely even a Big 12 team. But I'm going to throw this thing because, wow. And Rhule has some comments about the refs himself after the game, and I'm going to address those here a little bit later in the show as well. Now, I believe I have all offseason, but I needed to see it. There's a reason I didn't want to drink anything on the show until after we'd at least beaten Colorado, who, by the way, is no worse than they were last year. Yet look at the difference in the score. They may even be a little bit better, as bad as people think they are. Their quarterback's probably better. Travis Hunter's probably better. Jimmy Horn's probably better. They did upgrade the O-line. How much, we don't know. Is it by 10%, 20%, or 0.01%? I don't know. But they're no worse, probably slightly better. Yet look at the difference in the score. Now, Memorial Stadium helped for sure. But this team, this Nebraska team, is built and is being built different than any Nebraska team, at least since 2016, for about the last decade here in Lincoln. That's what this show's about today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one of my favorite signs that I've seen in Memorial Stadium in a long time, we're going to put it up on the screen right here, right now, for you fine folks to see if you haven't already seen it. It's true, and it's funny, and we won. So it makes it great all at the same time. Basically talking about how this is the Husker football that my dad's always talking about. Go Big Red. I loved that sign. Also, I had someone who was in attendance, checking their iPhone, and they told me that the decibel level in Memorial Stadium Saturday night on their iPhone reached 116 decibels. Wow. That's all I got to say. Wow. That is awesome. Now, this was Nebraska's 50th win over Colorado in our series history. I believe this was the 73rd meeting. All right, now, Colorado, for all their bluster, has won just barely over 50% of their games in their program's history. Coach Prime has made them relevant. Don't know if he's made them good, but he's made them relevant again, at least something in a team people want to talk about and pay attention to, at least for now. But he's fairly predictable, especially on defense. He loves to run man-to-man, single high, free safety deep. And they did that 70% of the time in their first game of the year versus North Dakota State, and Matt Rhule knew that. And he used that predictability against them, especially in the first half of the game. Meanwhile, defensively, our defensive coordinator, Tony White, showed Pat Shurmur, Colorado's offensive coordinator, zero. Nothing in the first game. Literally 0%. That's how much Nebraska blitzed, if you hadn't seen this stat already, in our first game against UTEP. All right, so here, Husker Football Nation, check them out. But that's where I got this stat. It's other places as well. Nebraska literally blitzed 0%. The team that blitzed the most week one, and they got their butts kicked this past Saturday by Texas, was Michigan, nearly 60%. All right, you look at a team like Illinois, almost 50%, Minnesota, 46.43%, and on down the line, Purdue, 60%, actually led the Big Ten in percentage of blitzes per play week one. Nebraska, 0. They literally were just running the same three calls over and over and over, according to defensive lineman Ty Robinson that first game, and they showed nothing to Colorado's offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, and they came out, and Colorado was not ready. That's a great job by Tony White. Now, we're going to play a clip. Matt McChesney, former Colorado Buffalo, really good player, team captain, multi-year starter, won several awards while he was there. He's a big dude with a big voice and a lot of personality. Came on my show last Thursday, but I happened to come across some of his thoughts he shared on another show. Okay, and we're going to share that very short clip. We've edited it way down, okay, but we're going to share that very short clip. Now, if you want to go check out the full interview, I believe it's the JB show on Coach JB show on YouTube. You can check it out. All right, but we're going to roll that clip now.
I know that every cracker, redneck in the world is going for Nebraska this year. They have the best quarterback in the country. If he played for Georgia, he would throw for 800 yards a game. Travis Hunter's a unicorn, the best player in the country, and should win the Heisman if he keeps on this path. Both of their tackles are elite players, but they only got sacked once. And all of the hits on Shedeur were because he's moving, eluding, breaking tackles. Shedeur is way better than Rhule right now.
I was about to ask you that.
He's not close. Rhule's got his first start. He's a rookie, and you're walking him into a rivalry game in week 2. All the pressure's on Nebraska. They're home favorites. Everybody's picking them to win. CU has nothing to lose, and they're better at quarterback. They're better at both tackles. They're better at receiver and corner multiple times over. They've got some dogs inside on the interior defensive line. Watch out for 97 to have another huge game. I know I'm a homer, but at the same time, bro, like, I know what I'm looking at too. So
Facts are the facts, right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Matt is strong in his opinions. Now, he had a few things to say. All right, inbred, redneck, whatever. Okay, keep it classy, Colorado. That's all I got to say about that. Now, he called Colorado's offensive tackles elite. I mean, I'm sorry, what? Come on, man. Oh, one of them's a true freshman. Just because he was the top-ranked offensive tackle in the entire country coming out of high school doesn't mean he's elite as a freaking true freshman. Goodness gracious. I've been saying, we don't know what to expect out of our true freshman quarterback, and he's probably going to be elite one day. All right, dude. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story, right? All right, facts also don't care about feelings. Depends on how you want to look at it. Now, I got none but love and respect for Matt. Okay, our kids played against each other in middle school football last year. We coached against each other. We've gone on each other's shows multiple times. Matt's son was actually in attendance in Memorial Stadium, okay, as a recruit. Maybe he's going to come to the good side one day. Matt actually texted me in the middle of the game how impressed he was with Matt Rhule and Nebraska and how they looked. But let's be real. Mr. McChesney cherry-picked certain stats. In fact, he must love cherries. That's just what I'm going to assume. Now, these are actually from last Thursday, and then I'll address some of the stuff from when he was on my show last Thursday, and then I'll address some of the stuff that it was in the short clip we just played. He only wanted to talk about Nebraska versus Color record from 2001 to now, which is now 7-7. And there's like, we played 73 times and Nebraska's 150. We'll just ignore the rest of them, okay? He also, last Thursday, talked about, well, North Dakota State, if you take out all their quarterback runs, they only average like 3 yards a carry. That's like all North Dakota State did was run the quarterback run up your keister. Nebraska did the same thing, just with the running back and averaged over 5 yards per carry. Don't cherry pick stats to fit a narrative, that's all I'm saying. That's why I try to be as objective as I can, reasonably. Now, here are some of the things he did say in that clip. He said Shedeur Sanders was way better than Dylan Rhule. And to be honest with you, at this point, he probably should be. Shedeur is going to be a top 10, top 5 pick, top 2, who knows? Top 15 at worst. Dylan Rhule is a 19-year-old teenage true freshman. He should be way better. But let's dive into the facts, because the facts don't care about feelings. That's how I approach facts anyways. All right, he called him the best quarterback in the country. Shedeur Sanders, right? Would throw for 800 yards, okay? If you played at Georgia. And we have a rookie quarterback. True. We call him true freshman in college, but true. But here are the stats from the game. Shedeur Sanders was 23 of 38, completed 60% of his passes, 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, which was a pick 6, and a QBR rating of 25.4. Dylan Rhule, the true freshman, the rookie, the 19-year-old teenage quarterback. 23 of 30. That's a 77% completion percentage. 185 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions so far in the year. He'll throw one at some point. Hopefully it's not for a long time. But none so far, and a QBR of 54.6. Now, I will readily admit the black shirt defense is way better than Colorado's defense. I'll readily admit that. You can use that against me in this quarterback argument. Good luck with that. Because the black shirts are better, and Dylan did play better, despite the defenses they were going against, at least Saturday night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DPS Concrete Construction. If you want concrete work done, they are the folks for you. If you need a retaining wall put in, they are the folks for you. If this is your line of work and you live in the Omaha metro area, go to dpsconstruction.net. Also, Allen Capital Group. They do my family's finances. They've done them for over a decade. It really helps me sleep better at night because there aren't many more things to put more stress on a person's mind than money and finances. Okay, what did Eminem say at one point? Money won't make you happy, but it'll sure make your life easier. Something like that. Just knowing your money is in good hands is key. And it creates a much, much more stress-free life. And that's Allen Capital Group. They have offices in Omaha, Grand Island, Ogallala. All right, you can check them out at allencapgroup.com. That's ALLEN capgroup.com. allencapgroup.com. Allen Capital Group, next level solutions for next level needs. All right, like I said, I believe this Nebraska team is built and is being built different than any Nebraska team we've seen for at least 8, 9, 10, possibly more years. Okay, I'm going to read some of the quotes that Matt Rhule had from the press conference. And I quote, "I'm really proud of this team. The defense scored for the second week in a row and made some contributions." End quote. That's putting it mildly. All right, on the stadium atmosphere, he said, and I quote, "It was more than I hoped for. More than I hoped it would be. It was electric. The crowd noise was fantastic. The energy was fantastic. I think our players fed off that in this modern era in terms of communication and all that. It's really hard to play in an atmosphere like that. Thank you to the student section. They were there early. Thank you to our fans. It was really a special night." End quote. When asked about setting the tone physically in the game versus Colorado, and I quote, he said, "We have 3 goals. 1, win the turnover battle. 2, be the most physical team on the field and have a culture of execution was number 3. There were a ton of penalties, just a ton of penalties. We have the iPads now, and we looked at a lot of them. We'll wait and see. I was disappointed we didn't have many calls going our way. It's a Big 12 crew. I can't get fined by them. I don't think so. I'll go ahead and say that." I love the honesty. End quote. On Dante Dowdell and Ramir Johnson getting most of the carries at running back, he said, and I quote, I thought we had some flash plays really with them. Even Ramir had the long run at the end. This was a game where across the board we didn't do a ton of rotating. Our defense, we played most of the older guys. It was a unique game. It's no referendum on those other 2, Gabe Irvin and Emmett Johnson. We will get to play a ton of football as we move forward. I thought Dante set the tone and Ramir did some good things, so we stuck with them." End quote. And finally, on how he coaches the team to play with the lead. And I quote Coach Rhule, "Preparation will not be our issue. Those guys worked their butts off. We practiced really hard and guys worked their butts off. I think, again, learning how to finish. We still haven't solved the close game thing because we haven't been in that yet. I think probably a lot of people thought this was going to be a close game. I'll be honest with you. We expected this score. We expected this to be like this. We have a good team and we felt like we were going to play really well tonight. We're going to go right back to work and treat this game like we lost. That's what we did last week." End quote. I love that, by the way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, quick, when you want to compare how far this team has come from a year ago, I'm going to compare the stats, 3 stats that stood out the most to me from the Colorado game 2023 to Nebraska versus Colorado 2024. These are the top 3 stats that stood out to me. And again, this Colorado team is no worse than a year ago. Nebraska is just a lot better. This Colorado team may even be slightly better. They still may not be very good, but the score was very different. Here are the 3 things that stood out to me. Nebraska had 7 more first downs this game this year than they did last year, which means they were more efficient on offense, which means they didn't turn the ball over, which means they converted when they needed to keep the chains moving, something we could not do offensively last year. Number 2, a year ago, we completed exactly 50% of our passes in this game. Last night, as I mentioned earlier, Dylan Rhule completed 77% of his passes. Imagine being a 50% free throw shooter, Shaq, and then all of a sudden you have someone else step into the free throw line who's a 77% free throw shooter. I think Jordan was mid-80s, so I don't know if he's the best example, but just think about that by comparison. Okay, we actually went backwards in penalties, but we just kind of addressed that a little bit with the bad call brick throw and Matt Rhule and all that. We had twice as many penalties as a year ago, but here's the other stat that stood out to me. A year ago, we had 4 turnovers. Saturday, we had 0. Boom. All right. Now, I've talked about this before, so I'm going to go quickly. our quarterback position is upgraded. Throwing the ball downfield is a much more viable option. We have 4 talented running backs, and obviously Dante Dowdell's a great power back, and Ramir Johnson's got the great speed, and they're a 1-2 punch. You've got Emmett Johnson. He stepped up as the 4th-string running back and was a great starter for us at the end of the year last year. You got Gabe Irvin, who Scott Frost fell in love with, and Matt Rhule fell in love with when he first got here. That guy's still there, and he's healthy. The only question with him is, can he stay healthy? But he's still got the ability. You look at the wide receivers. Again, Isaiah Nayor was going to be Texas's top wide receiver before he got hurt. Then you got Jamal Banks, who was an all-ACC type receiver. Then you've got fast guys like Ja'Cory Barney, who they clearly want to get the ball to. Jalen Lloyd, who tied Marvin Harrison Jr. for the most amount of long touchdown catches in the entire Big Ten last year. We have so much ability at wide receiver, it allows Malachi Coleman to redshirt, something he should have done a year ago. When that kid gets on the field in a year or two, watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Tight ends, 6'6", 6'5", Nate Borkashire, Thomas Fedoni, they're back and they're even better. Okay, the defensive line, everybody is back along the 2 deep, and they are dominating right now so far. Okay, don't get complacent. Linebackers are athletic. The secondary was the biggest question mark coming into the season on defense for me when it came to the Black Shirts. And they just faced possibly the best passing attack they're going to face all year. I know Ohio State, I don't know how good Will Howard is at actually throwing the ball consistently. USC, probably the overall best passing attack, but maybe the most athletic wide receiver duo in Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, combined with possibly the best quarterback trio when you factor in Shadur Sanders. They're going to face all year, and they held Colorado to 10 points. Okay, so the next level for the Black Shirts, forcing more turnovers. By the way, Nebraska is winning the turnover battle right now, +3, +3 so far this year. Is that not like amazing? And scoring more points on defense. Nebraska's defense has scored in 2 straight games. The offensive line. Now, I save them for last because they certainly look improved. They certainly look better, especially in the first half. I would have liked to have seen it continue into the second half versus Colorado. I absolutely believe they're better. I talked about the experience amount of starts in my gut reaction last Saturday night. Go back and check that out if you missed it. But they still haven't seen an actual good defensive line yet. UTEP, Colorado, I'm curious what happens when they see an actual good defensive line, because we are improved. But how much? How much? I can't wait to see by how much. Now, let's be honest, not everything is sunshine and roses and a valley full of daisies. Okay? Again, I always try to look at the whole picture, not just the part of the picture we want to see. All right. It never is, honestly, unless you're 15, 16-0 and you're national champions at the end of the year. Here are the biggest areas to improve that I see so far for Nebraska this year. The second half performance versus Colorado. Okay, we got outscored 10-0 in the second half of the last game. That's not how you finish games. Number 2, special teams. Missed 32-yard field goal. Blocked punt. We allowed a big kick return all the way back to our 37-yard line. We've got to address these things on special teams. And 2 big things to watch. Okay, Notre Dame had a huge win on the road at Texas A&M in week 1. Then at home on Saturday as a 28-point favorite, they lost 16-14 to Northern Illinois. When Northern Iowa comes to Lincoln next Saturday night, we cannot afford the same type of letdown. Number 2, in 2 weeks, we play Illinois where the S is silent. It's a Friday night game. It's going to be the 400th consecutive sellout in Memorial Stadium. Don't overlook Illinois. They're 2-0 right now. Their defense is giving up an average of 8.5 points per game, and they just upset number 19 Kansas, and Kansas had 18 returning starters, and a lot of people had them in that Big 12 championship game conversation, and they're still in the convo. They beat them in a big-time rivalry game, 23-17 last week, and the bottom line is before the season, I talked about legit optimism. Not excitement, legit optimism. This team is different than any Husker team I've seen in quite a while. How different? We're going to find out. That's why I love college football. Every Saturday, you get to kick the ball off and all hell breaks loose, and that's why it's so much fun. That ball's shaped funny and it bounces all over the place. You never know where it's going to go. Okay, but we'll get to find out just how different this Husker team really is each and every Saturday going forward. Now, if you haven't done so yet, go check out CarrikerChronicles.com. All right, the merch is there. All right, we've got Throw the Bones, we've got Carriker Chronicles, we've got Nebraska stuff, we've got t-shirts, we've got long sleeve shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got flags, we've got stuff for your pets if you love your pets. We got a Relentless shirt. Now, admittedly, this shirt is kind of old. I just really like it. We have an updated, much better version of this Relentless shirt. And I just ordered a bunch of stuff from the website yesterday, so obviously it's not here yet, but I'm going to start wearing it on the show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. This thing's been half full all summer. I never quite wanted to fill the cup up and drink it just yet. But Colorado was the momentum game. We can't have letdowns and going forward, and we got to keep improving. If we do, I'm going to point that out. But for now, this thing ain't full enough. It's time for me to drink a little Rhule, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we've also got Rhule shirts at the merchandise store at CarrikerChronicles.com. # cheap plug. There you have it. I'm officially drinking the Kool-Aid / Rhule, ladies and gentlemen. All right, last note. I will be at Husker Harvest Days this upcoming Wednesday, September 11th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Jacobson Seed tent. All right, we can be found at lot number 15E, where 4th Street and E Street come together. This Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Husker Harvest Days. Check out the Jacobson Seed tent. Let's come chat some football. Let's just come chat life. All right, here are my questions for you fine folks at home. Let me know your answers in the comments below. The biggest area of improvement you've seen in Nebraska football so far, what is it? Number 2, what's the biggest area that Nebraska football still needs to improve going forward? And number 3, have you visited CarrikerChronicles.com yet? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, go Big Red. And always remember, throw the bug.